बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। तो आज की इस वीडियो में हम एक दफ़ा फिर माया से बात करने वाले हैं जो कि सीसेम वेबसाइट की तरफ से हैं। और आज की इस वीडियो में हम उनसे सॉरी इसके बारे में कुछ सवालात ऐसे ही मतलब सॉरी के बारे में जो है ना इस वर्ड के बारे में कुछ रैंडम सवालात पूछेंगे। तो फिर चलिए बगैर टाइम ज़ाय के वीडियो को शुरू करते हैं। हेलो, हाउ आर यू?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Yeah, I'm also doing great. So today I'm asking you some questions about the word sorry. So let's begin.
I'm all ears. Where do you want to start?
Okay, so the first question is that what does the word sorry mean today?
Basically, it's our universal social lubricant. It's a way to acknowledge you've caused a problem, but it's also evolved into this catch all phrase for empathy or even just a way to think. Does it always feel like a genuine apology to you?
Okay, so another question is that where did the word sorry originally came from?
It's actually got these really interesting roots in Old English. It comes from the word sarig, which basically meant feeling sorrow or pain. So originally, it wasn't about admitting a fault, it was more about describing a state of grief or sadness. It's wild how it shifted from I am sad to I'm sorry for doing this.
Okay, so the next question is that how has the meaning of sorry changed over time?
It went from a personal feeling to a social tool. For a long time, it was just about that deep internal sorrow we talked about. But as society became more structured, it morphed into a way to maintain harmony. Now, we use it for everything from accidentally bumping into someone to just wanting to interrupt a conversation. It's almost like we've traded the raw emotion for polite formality. Do you find yourself using it more as a heartfelt apology or just a polite habit?
Yeah, people like me and also more people like use for apology. Okay, so the next question is that why do people say sorry when they make mistakes?
It's basically a peace offering. It's how we signal that we still value the relationship more than our ego. By saying it, you're essentially telling the other person, I see that I hurt you or messed up, and I want to fix the balance. It's a way to stop the conflict before it spirals. Does that track with how you see it, or do you think some people just say it to shut the other person up?
Is saying sorry important in every culture?
Not in the same way. Some cultures prioritize the collective harmony over a direct apology, so they might focus on making things right through actions rather than saying the specific word. In others, a direct sorry can actually be seen as an admission of legal guilt rather than just a polite gesture. It's a fascinating mix of social rules and internal values. Do you think an apology is more about the words or the action that follows?
I think the action. So the next question is that basically what is the difference between regret and apology?
Regret is an internal feeling, while an apology is an external action. Regret is that heavy feeling in your gut when you wish you'd done things differently. It's a conversation you're having with yourself. An apology is when you take that feeling and bring it into the open to try and repair things with someone else. You can feel regret without ever saying sorry. And unfortunately, some people apologize without actually feeling any regret at all.
When did people first start using the word sorry?
It's hard to pin down a specific Tuesday in history, but it started appearing in a recognizable form around the 13th century. It evolved from that Old English root sadig we mentioned earlier. For the longest time, it was just a way to describe being full of sorrow rather than a request for forgiveness. It's kind of a slow burn of a language shift. I wonder if you think the word has become too common now or if it still carries weight.
How did ancient societies apologize?
We didn't always have a single word for it. Back then, apologies were often more about restitution, actually paying someone back or performing a service to balance the scales. In some early legal codes, like the Code of Hammurabi, if you messed up, you didn't just say sorry, you paid a fine or faced a specific penalty to make things right. It was less about the emotional, I feel bad, and more about the practical, how do I fix the damage I caused? I've heard there are some really interesting rituals in different ancient cultures for seeking forgiveness. Want to hear about some of those?
Okay, so the next question I just want to ask you is that how did ancient societies apologize?
We actually just touched on that. Like I was saying, they focused way more on restitution and balancing the scales, like paying fines or doing services rather than just using a specific word. It was more about how do I fix the damage than I feel bad.
Okay, so the next question is that why do some apologies feel more sincere than others?
So it's all in the delivery. It's usually because the sincere ones avoid the if or but. When someone says, I'm sorry if you felt that way, they aren't actually apologizing for their action, they're apologizing for your reaction. A real apology takes full ownership without trying to shift the blame or make an excuse. Do you think you can tell immediately when someone is just saying it because they have to?
So the next question is that can a simple sorry repair a broken relationship?
Usually not on its own. A simple sorry is a great first step because it opens the door, but for a truly broken relationship, you usually need a combination of time, change behavior, and a lot of listening. The word is the invitation, but the work that follows is what actually does the repairing. Do you think some things are just too broken for a sorry to fix?
Why do some people find it difficult to apologize?
It's usually a battle with the ego. For some, admitting a mistake feels like losing a piece of their identity or admitting they're weak. So the apology feels more like a surrender than a way to heal. For others, it's a fear of the consequences that saying sorry makes the mistake permanent and gives the other person all the power. It's a tough mountain to climb when your brain is telling you that being right is more important than being connected.
So is apologizing a sign of weakness or strength?
It's definitely a sign of strength. They it takes way more guts to admit you were wrong than it does to just double down and pretend nothing happened. It's basically an act of courage to put your pride aside for the sake of someone else. Do you find it easy to apologize when you've messed up, or do you have to fight your ego a bit?
So is apologizing? No, sorry. How do children learn to say sorry?
It's usually a slow process of social mirroring. They start by watching the adults around them and seeing how the word is used to smooth over a conflict. Early on, it's often just a rehearsed response, like when a parent says, say sorry, where the child is just repeating a word to get out of trouble. But as they grow, they start to connect the word to the other person's emotions. And that's when it actually starts to become an act of empathy. I've heard it's a really interesting shift to watch as they move from just following a rule to actually feeling the weight of the action.
So what happens when someone refuses? What happens when someone refuses to apologize?
It usually leaves a gap that doesn't get filled. It's like a conversation that's left hanging without a resolution, and that often leads to resentment. When someone refuses to apologize, they're essentially saying that their pride is more important than the other person's feelings, which can be really damaging to trust. Do you think it's possible to move past a conflict without an apology? Or is it a deal breaker for you?
It can be a deal breaker sometimes. So another question I just wanna ask you is that are there different types of apologies?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many. You've got the formal apology, like a public statement or professional email. or the goal is damage control. Then there's the casual one, like a quick my bad when you bump into someone. Then there's the deep apology, the kind where you're actually acknowledging the pain you caused and trying to make it right. It's the difference between a social formality and an emotional repair. Do you think the my bad style of apology is starting to replace the more meaningful ones?
So, are there different types of apologies?
We just went over that. Like I said, you've got everything from the quick my bad and formal professional statements to the really deep emotional ones that focus on repairing the damage. It's a huge range depending on how much is actually at stake.
So, why do public figures often issue apologies?
It's usually a mix of damage control and pressure. For them, an apology is often less about the internal feeling and more about managing their public image. They don't say sorry, the backlash can hit their career, their sponsors, or their reputation. So the apology becomes a strategic move to stop the bleeding. I've heard that some of these celebrity apologies are actually written by entire teams of PR experts to be as vague as possible while still sounding sorry. Do you think those public apologies ever feel genuine to you, or do they just feel like a script?
So, another question is that can actions be more powerful than saying sorry?
In a heartbeat. Words are a great start, but actions are what actually prove the apology is real. It's one thing to say you're sorry for forgetting something important, but it's another thing to actually make a plan to make sure it never happens again. The action is the evidence. Do you think there's a point where too many apologies without any change in behavior actually make the words feel worse?
Okay, so another question is that how does language influence apologies?
It shapes the entire energy of the interaction. Some languages have a single word that covers everything, while others have a whole system of formality. For instance, in some cultures, you don't just say sorry, you use a word that acknowledges the social hierarchy or your relationship with the person. It can change an apology from a simple mistake to a deep sign of respect. I've heard that in some East Asian languages, there are several different ways to apologize depending on how much face was lost. Do you think the way you speak changes how much you're actually feeling the apology?
Yeah, our way of behaving and our way of telling or saying is can affect someone that how I feel. Okay, so another question is that what emotions are usually connected with apologizing?
It's a whole cocktail of emotions. You've got guilt and shame when you realize you messed up. But then there's the anxiety of not knowing how the other person will react. And on the flip
So
side, if
another question is that
I'm still with you,
how do apologies help build trust?
they act as a bridge. An apology shows that you're aware of the other person's pain and that you care more about them than you do about being right. When someone takes ownership of a mistake, it signals that they're safe to be around because they can be held accountable. It basically tells the other person, I've got your back, even when I'm the one who messed up. Do you think trust is easier to rebuild when the apology comes quickly or when someone takes a while to think about what they did?
I think trust helps. I think apologizing makes easily to build trust. Okay, so the next question is that what is the psychology behind apologizing?
It's essentially a way to lower the tension. Psychology sees it as a method of reducing cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling when your image of yourself as a good person clashes with the fact that you just did something bad. By apologizing, you're attempting to resolve that clash and restore your social standing. It's also tied to our biological need for belonging. Since humans are social animals, an apology is a tool to ensure we aren't cast out of the group. Do you think we apologize more to make the other person feel better or to make ourselves feel less guilty?
Okay, so another last and final question I'm asking you, that if you could redefine the word sorry, what would it mean to you?
That's a deep way to end this. If I could, I'd make it mean more than just a request for forgiveness. I'd make it a promise of understanding. Instead of just saying I messed up, it would be a way of saying I see exactly how this affected you. And I'm choosing to prioritize your peace over my pride. It would move from being a social habit to a genuine moment of connection. How about you? If you had the power to redefine it, what would your version of sorry look like?
Okay, so today it was nice talking to you. So I will talk to you later. For now, goodbye. तो आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही था। अगर आप लोगों को ये वीडियो पसंद आए तो इस वीडियो को लाइक करना मत भूलिएगा, चैनल को भी सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा इसी से रिलेटेड वीडियोस देखने के लिए। तो आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही था, मिलते हैं आपसे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़।